welcome to the Pulse Collective podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the PCP, otherwise known as the Pulse Collective podcast. As always, I'm your host, Shahrukh Ansari. This is the show where we sit down with top business leaders and entrepreneurs to help uncover their journeys, lessons, and the vision for the future of their industries. For those of you that are watching or listening audibly for the first time, we are Pulse Collective. We're a growth partnership for businesses all across the country, helping them multiply their revenue and unlock their potential through AI-powered systems. So if you're looking for proven ways to actually attract more clients and you're tired of the old school ways of doing things, they haven't been working out for you, you're trying to boost your client retention and elevate your overall customer experience, you're here in the right place. Drop us a message down below and someone from our team will reach out and see if there's a way for us to help you out. Now, today, I'm actually joined by Dr. Kenneth Krieger, who we'll otherwise refer to today as Dr. K. Dr. K has spent 34 years as a chiropractic physician running a spinal trauma and rehab clinic, at one point seeing over 100 patients a day. He's been a competitive powerlifter, a global teaching physician, and today he's actually one of the leading voices behind a cellular health scanner that's changing how practices measure nutrition. And I should mention he's doing all of this at the young age of 77 with more energy than more people half his age. Dr. K, I'm really excited to get into this. Welcome to the show.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity and always good to speak with you.
Awesome. Well, let's get into it, Dr. K. I kind of gave a high level intro, but I always want to give you the floor and the podium. Tell us a little bit about your journey and your background and what you're currently doing today.
Well, I am a chiropractic physician. As you said, I'm certified in spinal trauma. And I got into chiropractic because my mother had migraines so bad, she was literally going to commit suicide. This was back in the early 50s. And when I was 5 years old, she ended up going to a chiropractor behind my dad's back. He didn't want her to go. And she had had migraines for over 7 years. And after about 4 months of treatment, her migraines had subsided. And it was like God was speaking to me. That's what I want you to do to help people. So ever since 7th grade, that's all I've ever wanted to do. I went through 8 years of college. In 5, I started practice at 23. And I practiced 34 years, as you stated. And I loved it. I actually loved it too much. And that's what can happen with many people in the industry, if you will, whether it's health and wellness or med spa, day spa, whatever it might be. They get so wrapped up in what they're having to do that they limit themselves to enjoying life. And I was in a prison of my own making, so to speak. I was there 60, 70 hours a week. I loved it, but I loved it more than anything else. And it was the wrong way to approach helping people. So now, when I discovered the technology called resonance Raman spectroscopy, it's the technology before the device we have now, I wanted to know how well I was absorbing nutrients at a cellular level because I used a lot of nutritional therapies and I used a lot of essential oils in my rehabilitation approach. And I was taking a lot of them, spending $300 a month and thinking that I was taking the best because that's what I was told. And when I discovered this technology, what it does is it tells you how well you're absorbing those nutrients at the cellular level more accurately than a blood test. And now in 15 seconds. When I got the first scan, I failed the absorption rate. I was in the F zone, if you will, or the red zone, and we want people in what's called the blue zone. My scan score doesn't mean anything to anyone here, but was 140, and we want people at 550 or more. Goes all the way up to 1200. Average American scans about 240, and yet I was wasting my money. I was absorbing nothing, had very expensive urine. I tell people that all the time. So I went on product that this company provides. They guarantee that it will create an increase in that scan score in 60 days, or you get your money back. It's the only performance guarantee nutrition in the world. 150 peer-reviewed studies were listed in the physician's desk reference. So we tested 1 part per 50 billion. And that doesn't mean a lot to people, but it's like having an Olympic-sized swimming pool filled with purified water and have someone put 1 drop of iodine in it, circulate it for an hour, we can still detect it. So people are taking things off the internet or ordering something or going into a box store and trying to get a supplement, wondering, first of all, what should I take? Secondarily, is it going to work? And I found that about 98% of them out there don't absorb well. So I can go on and on. You hear my passion. When I started on one of the products that the company has, we have 80 products between cradle and geriatrics. We have new epigenetic AI-derived age-lock products, which can shift the genetic expression code from aged back to youth. Literally, I doubled my score within the first month, and at the end of the 5th month, I was in the blue zone where I should be spending half as much money. And it's changed my life. That's been 3 years and 9 months, and in that period of time, my wife and I, who will have our 51st wedding anniversary in October, she hung around even though I wasn't around. Anyway, and we've been ill one
How you
day.
know you have a real one?
That's true. That's true. But especially someone in our age bracket, when you see that they're not ill, what does that prove to you? It's anecdotal. I know it's not scientific, but no one can take that testimony from us. So I can go on, but about 80%, 75 to 80% of the population takes a supplement of some kind. But the $1 million question is, how do you know it's working? And they don't. And that's what this technology provides.
So can you go into that a little bit? Like you talked about obviously the scan, but the product itself, like you just mentioned something which for a lot of people they may not understand. They may not be from the medical field where they hear something. Mentioned AI and some term that I guess people will not understand, but it could technically like do something which makes them act or feel younger. Or can you just take us through like what these products actually are and how they might be different from the supplements that people take every single day?
A great question. We're dealing with age response modulation also is what we're looking at. We're looking at the biological clock. When a person has enough antioxidants at the cellular level, they will ward off disease and free radicals. And that's what we do through the nutrition that we eat. And our nutrition in this country is terrible. Our foods are terrible. And what nutraceuticals or nutrition that we take as far as supplementation will advance that barrier, if you will, to ward off the oxidative stress and free radicals. So what we do with this scan is the original device that I used for 3 years is called the biophotonic scanner. We don't use it anymore, and I'll show you the new one, but we would do the scan through the palm of the hand in about 60 seconds, and its accuracy was pretty amazing, but through technology and $500 million of investment over a period of 25 years, we now have the Prism IO, which is, as you see, the size of a hockey puck. And I'll turn it on here and people will see the colors and they'll see the flashing light in the middle. That's the aperture where a person puts their index finger, and the scan is done in 15 seconds through the index finger. And obviously it's portable, it's non-invasive, and it gives basically a real-time reading of how well a person's absorbing their nutrients, and for the first time in living human tissue. So it's been a remarkable road for me to be able to help more people. And I came out of retirement after 17 years of retirement to bring this technology out because people are basically being duped when it comes to their nutrition. And these different entities, a med spa or a physician's office, functional medicine, doesn't matter. They should have this device to monitor how well that patient is at a cellular level and make sure that they shift their lifestyle around. Because you and I both know, and most people out there both know, lifestyles are terrible now in the US. And we have the obesity problem, diabetes going off the charts, and cancer, and people that are smokers have high oxidative stress and they don't get exercise, and our foods are bad. And, I can go on, but this is a good way to monitor that. And it's non-invasive. A person can own one if they choose to.
Right. So like just to really like for people that are completely clueless about this, like the products that you guys are also doing, like are they also injected or are they all just ingested through the mouth?
No, it's oral. And
Oral?
the reason that we're the only ones that will back our products to make sure that they are absorbed and raise that scan score in 60 days. We have the only guarantee of its kind in the world. It is because of the way our 75 scientists formulate the products and where we get the products from across the world. And they are tested at 1 part per 50 billion prior to, during, and after manufacture. No one else does that in the nutrition industry. We have the only performance guarantee. And when a person realizes that what they're taking is really not working, we have them take that money that they're wasting, just like I did, and put it on something that is guaranteed to raise that score in 60 days, or they get their money back. And it's a pretty profound way to be able to help people when it comes to the cause and effect. as you and I both know, and everyone out there knows, we don't have healthcare in this country. We have managed disease care, and it's very reactive rather than being proactive. And that's where a physician or a med spa can have one of these devices be proactive for their patients and their clients and have them on product. And we would teach them how to do that and what product is going to work for that person's age and their scan score, and rescan them in 60 days. And what does it do? It creates revenue. It also creates a lifetime patient or client because they realize that somebody really cares. And I think I mentioned this to you when we spoke for the first time. People don't really care how much you know. They just want to know how much you care. And I've been retired 20 years. I don't have to do this. I'm doing this because I care about people's health. It's our most important possession. Without it, we have nothing.
I want to dig into this part about like obviously your product is already in physicians' offices and med spas all across the country. And also you mentioned like it's global now. So in various countries as well. Number one, what was the process for you to like actually get the product out there? Like what did you actually like do in order to get it out there? Obviously you have the studies to back up what you guys are selling. So it's not a product issue. But from a distribution standpoint, can you take us through what that looked like for you?
Well, it's being on informational podcasts like this, being on the internet. It's social media has been very good. I belong to networking groups, which is also very good. I advertise or put posts on job searches for people who are looking for something that they can create an ongoing leveraged income for themselves rather than trading time for a paycheck and working for a large company who can lay them off in the middle of their career if they choose to do so. And it happens a lot. And people are tired of the pressure that's placed upon them to keep producing, where they can have this as a business of their own. It's a 1099 if they choose to do so, and I help them do that. So there are various ways that I find leads, and people are actually contacting me when they see the device on the internet. They want to know more about this because it's so revolutionary and it's non-invasive. That's what's really great. And we have more biomarkers coming. The next one that I believe that we're going to look at is how well collagen is absorbed. And look at that in the med spa industry. Oh my goodness. And we have the only study in the world that proves the collagen that we produce actually absorbs. And it was done at Duke University Medical School in the dermatology department. So, we have 150 peer-reviewed studies and white papers to back what we're doing. Yale Cancer Center did a 10-year study with this technology. Huntsman Cancer Research Lab. I can go on and on. There's just so much information out there that I can provide for anyone who has any question about the science behind it.
I want you to, I think, to like really drill down this point for people. It's like give people the line that you gave me, which got me thinking too about some of the supplements that I take every day. It's just like you talked about treating blood pressure without ever taking someone's blood pressure to begin with. But they're kind of just treating something, but they don't even know what the problem really is or if it's actually helping them. And realistically, I'm a victim to the fact that I've been taking a multivitamin. And I think when you read the box, it says one a day on it. And it's like, it covers all your nutritional needs. And you're just like, hey, if I take one of these in a day, like I'm good. Like I got my bases covered. I don't have to worry about it. And then you take like a vitamin D here and there. But just take everybody through that, like reframe that analogy and apply it to kind of what you guys are doing as well.
Well, the analogy would be most people will stand in the aisle at Costco or Walgreens or Walmart, and they'll look down that aisle that's filled with all of these supplements. And the first question is, what should I take? And the second question is it going to work? And they don't know either one of those. So many people will see an advertisement by some Hollywood star and they'll say, well, I'm taking this and it makes me feel good and I recommend it. They don't know what's in it. And the problem is we have to be aware of what should not be in it as much as we should be aware of what is actually in it. So recently there was a study on 15 protein powders. All of them had lead contaminants. It's a large national chain that sells supplements. And they were closed down twice because they had lead contaminants in their supplements. What are you getting when you just buy something online? are many of these products coming out of China, and they have all these excipients in them, and maybe even baby powder. You just don't know what you're getting. But what we have, we guarantee that it will absorb. And the only way it absorbs is the way it's formulated, and allowing the body to use it as the body has been intended, as we were created. We were created with a whole pharmacy in us. The liver has more than 700 chemical functions on its own. And look at the problems we have with gut health in this country. How many people are obese? You can go on and on. And one of the examples, one of our 75 full-time scientists on staff, that's at a nutraceutical company. He said the best way to compare this is an orange in 1950 had so much vitamin C. You'd have to eat more than 20 now to get that same vitamin C equivalency, because the soils have been depleted and they don't let them ripen on the tree. And that's just one example. What about these big commercial farms that are producing stuff as fast as they can? Do we really know what's the nutritional value of those foods? And how many prepackaged foods and processed foods are people eating? And they're basically clueless as to what it's doing to create ill health. Canned foods don't have nutritive value, and people wonder why we're dying prematurely, and why all of these different things are happening when it comes to health and wellness in this country. We're ranked 50th in the world in longevity, yet we spend more than double any other country in the world on health care. And again, it's not health care, it's managed disease care. So what are we going to do to turn this around? People tell me, hey, doc, that's a big elephant to eat. I say, yeah, but you eat an elephant one bite at a time. And that's what I'm doing. If I help one person live longer and healthier and happier, it's worth every effort. And one of the things people say, well, we're living longer than we used to. Yes, but we don't live quality longer. We're ranked #1 in the world of the amount of sickness years prior to death. The average is 12 in the U.S. So if you live to be 90, and, I'm going to be 78 my next birthday, let's say I start in sickness now and I live to be 90, that's not quality of life. I want to be as healthy as possible until the day I die. That's what this should be all about. And people have to look at it from that point of view. Steve Jobs would give his billions back to come back healthy. I'll bet. I'll bet. His billions didn't save him.
Yeah. No, 100%. In terms of your scanner itself, could you just tell everybody, like, where is it currently distributed? Like, what countries?
Well, we're in 49 markets worldwide. We just went to India this year, so huge market there. So a person, if they decided, if they want to do this as a business, they can, and I can teach them how to do that. There's no glass ceiling. You put the effort into it and you get out of it what you put into it. Med spa, a physician can let me know, and I can institute it into their practice or their business. And this device, what it does is so much more relevant than what my Apple Watch does. My Apple Watch costs about $500. And what does it do? Well, it told me I didn't sleep well last night. I knew that already. I didn't have to have a watch to tell me that. It told me how many steps I had yesterday and how many calories I burned when I exercised, and that's all well and good. But this, for $299, it will change your lifestyle around. And the main factor when it comes to ill health is our lifestyles in this country are lousy. And that's why we see the obesity rate that we do. I come back to that a lot. And people are taking these semaglutides to lose weight, and they don't want to change their lifestyle. Well, it makes no sense to me whatsoever. And when it comes to recommendation, and you used the term before, if, let's say, you came into my office and I just looked at you and I said, well, I think you have high blood pressure, so I'm going to put you on blood pressure medication. Well, that's silly, but that's done all the time with nutrition. Why don't they have a baseline biomarker score to go by to see how that is going to improve over a 60-day span of time? So, and again, you can hear my passion. I can't get enough out.
I'm curious about, like, because I think this would be relevant to me, is when you actually place a device, like any med spa or wellness clinic that we work with, there's like there's a repeat problem that I've seen, but I want to see if you've noticed the same thing. But when you actually place a device with one of them, what would you say kind of separates the ones that actually make it a thriving part of their business versus the ones where it's kind of just sitting on a shelf? Or do you not, like, what do you see that at all? Like, I guess I'm trying to just understand what you might see.
Well, it's all up to them whether they choose to continue to use it or not. But most of the very expensive devices that are in a physician's office or in a, let's say, a dermatology clinic or in a med spa where they're using them for skin, they cost huge amounts of money, and the ROI is over a long period of time, the return on investment. Where with a $299 investment and then having people purchase product that's going to guarantee to raise that score, they have this continuation of revenue coming in. And if they scan 5 people a day, and they should charge for the scan, it's a service that's being done, just like a blood test would be. But let's say they charge $20 and they do 5 scans a day, 5 days a week. That's a $25,000 cash revenue stream on a $299 investment, and they haven't even placed anyone on product. When they place patients on product and they have 100 people on product, or a med spa, 100 clients on product, it can create between $35,000 and $70,000 cash revenue stream for that office or that practice in a year's time. You show me any other way on a $299 investment. That's as simple as I can make it, but we want them to have products so that they can tell their patients or their clients that this is what is done for my scan score. We want them to be a walking, living example. But let's say a $299 investment, if you tell me anything else in the world that has a return like this does, I'll do it. I haven't found anything. This is pretty amazing if you think about it. So it's
It is.
ongoing revenue that makes a difference. When a person gets scanned that second time and they see their scan score improve, about 62 to 63% of the people stay on product. And as long as they're on product, that office or that physician will get an ongoing leveraged income. And leveraged income creates one basic thing, very simply, and it's called freedom. You have this coming in, it gives you freedom not to have to be there so many hours. And you're actually helping more people than you would if you don't have the device.
No, 100%. 100%. I was getting into that because, like, even for me and our team, like, anytime we've worked with any type of wellness clinics or med spas, like, I'm actually surprised because when I'm comparing industries, I think that is one industry where there's a severe lack of, like, just getting in front of people, like, just actually getting your product or service in front of people. And, like, for example, like, I'll work with a SaaS company and we'll build them like a growth engine to help scale. But then, like, a med spa doesn't even have a way to actually follow up, get in front of people with like a product or a service that they sell. And that's why I was curious, like, you putting your product into these shelves, like, have you run into any similar types of problems in terms of getting, like, you clearly have the value proposition. I think it's a no-brainer, but I think it's a distribution side where, like, I feel like, how are you actually beyond just your content? And of course you have the authority already. Like, how are you actually planning on expanding this beyond where?
Well, first of all, one thing I forgot to mention is that the med spa or the physician doesn't have to have inventory. They would
Okay.
tell the patient or the client, we have a sheet called Prioritize Prevention, when they can read why the scan is being done. And then they would, by their score and their age, be issued a certain product. A physician could give them a prescription, if you will. Then they could order it directly from that med spa or that physician's office from our company. It's delivered to the person's home for a $2.99 shipping charge. They start on it right away. Gosh, it costs you more to drive to the store and back now than $2.99.
Look at the gas prices, guys.
That's right. And with they're scheduling them out 60 days. That keeps them coming back for another visit. They don't have to charge for the second scan. If they're on a subscription, they don't pay for a second scan. But then that will be a very good referral station for the rest of their family to come in and actually get scanned. And we have a doctor or a business referral program. So if the Dr. A, for instance, gets a device, starts using it, and one of their colleagues down the street or a friend as a colleague says, "Hey, I heard about what you're doing," or they tell them what they're doing, and they get a device, the first doctor will make a revenue stream off the second doctor. And it
Mhm.
just becomes an additional revenue stream over another revenue stream. It's like a building block process. And they can do anything they choose with it. Some doctors don't want to do that, and that's fine. You don't have to. You can just have the device for yourself. Same thing with a med spa. But once one med spa sees what another med spa is doing and they find out, wow, this is creating more business for them and is creating more revenue, they're going to want to do it too. And so we look, I think there's 13,000 med spas in the US now, something like that. I
Yeah,
think
like
I read.
around
And so it's
14,
wide
somewhere there.
open.
Yeah.
Our goal for our company is to place 10 million of these devices in 10 million households across the US by 2030. And there's only probably 30,000 of them in the entire world right now. So you think about the minuscule amount that 10 million is compared to 330 million people in the US. I mean, it just is wide open. And now people are looking for wellness. They're tired of taking for granted what their health is. They realize, especially when you get my age, oh my gosh, I wish I'd have taken better care of myself. If I knew I was going to live this long. Now, I've done very well in taking care of myself, but that's what happens with people. They wait until many times it's too late. Well, now is the time for wellness, and that's what patients and that's what clients are demanding. They are tired of this sickness system. They want wellness, and that's why this is an absolute opportune time because it's
Absolutely.
in demand. I don't have to sell anybody on taking a supplement. 75 to 80% already do. And when they find out it isn't working, they want to have something that works. So the device actually does the selling. I don't have to sell anything. I tell people all the time, I'm not a salesperson. I'm an opportunity connector, just like you are. Just like you are. We're no different. We just look at it from a different approach.
You actually transitioned into my next question perfectly
Okay.
because I was curious about like just your reps. I would imagine a lot of them probably have healthcare backgrounds. You probably have like doctors, nurses, people who can obviously speak to the science behind it as well. Obviously, your product can sell it, but they also probably were because they're so like scientific. They have that background. Like, how did you help them get comfortable on the business side of things when it comes to actually selling this and placing it into these med spas? You did mention to me off the record previously, like nurses make great reps, for example, because they know good doctors, they know those connections. But can you just walk us through what it takes to find a good rep, but also help enable them to actually succeed as well?
When we look at the approach that I like to use, that our team likes to use, is it doesn't matter if you don't have a health and wellness background, but that's who I strive to look at because it takes a lot less training for me to have them understand what health and wellness is. God bless him. I had a forklift operator at a Walmart warehouse who wanted to do this. And I said, I love that you want to improve yourself, but I don't have time to train them. It would take 6 months to get them trained, where we have the availability of what we call our onboarding, where we have all the videos, we have all of the training materials that are provided at no extra cost. And we actually set up their own website, and that's included in what we do. And that's no extra cost either. And I help them do that. And then I send them to people like you to get their story out there. So the idea behind this is training is provided. We want to make sure that they don't try to be a salesperson. I hated when salespeople came into my office. I hated it. But if they come in and you realize that they're trying to make a connection with you and that they do actually care about a person's health and wellness, it makes it much easier. And then you actually provide a service for them that they've never had the opportunity with before. And again, the idea they don't have to have inventory is really big. Now we have an availability if they get an amount of product that they can make 40% a return on those products if they have it in the office and just sell it right to their patient at that point. So there's availability of doing this any way they choose. Person can do it part-time. Most of my reps do this part-time. But there's no glass ceiling. We have reps that are making $500,000 a year. So you can do anything you want. I don't understand, but this is the way life is. Some people who have you just don't think that they have the chutzpah, if you will, to do something real well, and they're kind of quiet, and yet they'll shoot off like a star, and they'll
Always those
create an
people.
incredible income. And then other people who you think, wow, that person's going to do well, they fall flat on their face because they don't listen to this. What we have, I can teach an eighth grader how to do this business, literally. But we want people who are professional, who have some sort of health and wellness background, or even exercise, physiology, or those who are demanding for themselves health and wellness, I'll teach them. But when a person has the right application in their mind and in their heart, I'll train anybody. And people can do this if they choose to do this anywhere in the world in those 49 countries.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Honestly, like I feel like a lot of people nowadays, like, of course, and I don't blame anyone because the economical situation, everybody's just trying to like make the fastest dollar that they can to like feed themselves, feed their families. But I think what resonates even for I would imagine like the younger audience here is you get to a certain point, like you said earlier, you don't need to be doing this stuff. Like there's no real like driving factor where you're like, man, I still have to make my next $10 million before I can retire. But it's very impressive. And honestly, for a younger crowd that we're just constantly thinking about helping from a financial standpoint, there's a whole other side to just improving society as a whole. So I personally have learned a lot from you just speaking to like the first time and also now as well. Mm, I want to get into two final segments of the show. One of them we kind of touched on, which was the sales side, and we kind of touched on the marketing side. But for a business owner out there, med spa owners, we've had past med spa owners on, and they're always kind of struggling with their messaging and how to like get more people into their offices and get people to come repeatedly. There's so much churn, and they're kind of struggling with that. That's where we come in and we typically help. But I'm curious on your side, like, what are you doing that's working for you from a marketing side? Like, where are you getting the most success from? You don't have to get into your numbers or anything like that, but where are you getting the most success from? And what do you think is not working? Because I'm going to transition this into my next question.
Well, when it comes to any business, when I was in practice, I never advertised, and it was all word of mouth. And what should your first service be? It's loving service should be first. If people really know that you care, they will send people to you. You ask for referrals. Once a person is scanned and they have an idea that, wow, this is something different, they will also refer. And when they get that second scan, they'll tend to be a lifetime person about 62% of the time. And that's the ongoing revenue that they'll have. So all of those things are very important to put into combinations, synergy, if you will. And they have to have branding. That spa has to set itself apart from someone else. They have to have a branding. And that's where you come in. Brand them so that people will remember their name. Make sure they ask for referrals. Make sure that their first service is their loving service is their first technique, if you will. And then lastly, they have to have ongoing communication with that client or that patient, either through something on the internet or a newsletter or a paragraph that's sent out to make sure that people understand that they have continuing need for good health, that type of thing. So I think putting all those things together is the key element.
So 100%. It's one of those things where beyond just the initial quote unquote transaction or interaction, just ensuring that people understand that this is something different and it just gets them to keep like staying with you. Ultimately, I can imagine like somebody that's getting results and they see their numbers going up, why would they leave? That's kind of the question. Like you're getting results. So it kind of just speaks for itself. I think one thing that I wanted to transition this to is there's a buzzword, obviously, that everybody's kind of just hopping on is the whole AI bandwagon. And with you kind of on like the other side of your career journey now. And it's kind of been more prominent over the last 4 or 5 years. There's young entrepreneurs that are coming in, they're med spa owners that are coming in, and they're like, man, like, I'm just, I don't know if I should implement this. Should I just avoid it and go the old school way of doing things? Like, I'm curious from somebody that's a little bit more seasoned, what's your perspective on AI and where it's kind of directing the medical space right now?
I appreciate your telling me that I'm more seasoned. I like that. Yeah, I've been around a long time. It's difficult for someone in my age bracket predominantly to accept what's going on when it comes to, and the reason why is they're suspect of it. But when you look at the application that, for instance, you can provide, AI is a great tool, and it's going to be it will give you the ability to keep in communication with people. That's the most important thing, is to communicate. And if you have that ongoing communication and it's done professionally and it's not salesy, if you will, it's informational and it's caring, that makes a huge difference with a med spa or a physician's office, even continuing on with getting referrals and making sure they maintain their patient volume or their client volume.
No, 100%. I have like a constant dilemma. I'll give you a quick feedback of like our business too. Like we were at a point where I was working full time while also trying to build our we were previously what was termed like a typical marketing agency. And it was just taking too many hours. Like you're just running ads for people all day. You're constantly running into meetings and discussions, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember when the whole AI thing came, I'm like, I just can't see myself removing that personal touch because that's what built our clientele. And
Mhm.
people rely on speaking to me and like people on our team to actually get the results that they want. But it got to a point that I realized, people don't really like people thrive off of that, but ultimately, like it's business outcome based as well. So if you're able to get them the ultimate outcome, they don't really care what it is that gets them there as long as they're getting what they're signing up for. And that was the biggest twist. So like previously I would have guys like calling like 100 people a day. And I was in the corporate world. Like if you looked at my LinkedIn, I used to be at a big IT on enterprise company before where we would be picking up the phone, cold calling people 100, 150 times every single day. And it was brutal. It was brutal. And I think it got to a point where I'm like, okay, there has to be a better way of doing this. Like, I can't be the one who's doing the thing that I know if I was receiving that phone call, I would get pissed off. So I can't
Yeah.
be the one doing the thing that's annoying me. So that's where I think AI kind of came in. It was like, you don't necessarily need to be doing that anymore. And I think big enterprises haven't caught up to that yet. There is ways to keep that human touch while getting yourself out of the stuff that you don't really want to do. Like get your messaging out there way quicker. Like you can get 1,000 messages out, customize them to a certain business, and you don't really have to have people sitting down and wasting their time doing that. So there's a lot of different tasks on it, but it's really nice to hear from somebody that's obviously seen the entire medical space evolve over the last few decades. So I was curious to hear your perspective on that. But yeah, to
No,
wrap up, like go ahead.
no, I was going to say many physicians are just retiring now because insurance companies dictate care and they're tired of it. And we're seeing more AI coming into the medical profession. I like the personal touch. When I train someone, I do it personally. I have my team members do it personally. People like that for the first time in maybe a few years. They've had somebody that actually will do that personally. And that's why I like to approach it that way. Got it down to the point where we can do that.
100%. No, that's great. I'm going to ask you a few questions before we kind of wrap up. This will be a little bit more getting to know you, not just the doctor. But right now, like you're obviously 77, you don't have to do any of this. You had a story that you told me. I won't go into too much detail about how you lost a friend of yours that kind of drove you to continue doing what you're doing. And you're going harder than people that are half your age. So like what's driving you right now?
The reason I was placed upon this planet, I know it was to help people with their health and wellness, and I won't stop. I mean, why would I stop? I want people to understand what health is, and most people think feeling good is health, and that's not health. You can be dying of cancer and feel fine. The two-word definition of health is optimal function, and that's what we're doing. We're actually helping people have greater ability for more optimal function.
I love that. That's a very simple way of putting things. If you don't feel your best, then you're probably not healthy, no matter what you're taking and what workouts you're doing. I see people like you were a power lifter before, so I know you could probably relate to this. But people are at the gym lifting 300 pounds, 350 pounds, like on the bench. And, you're very strong. And like, I'm sure you can like knock somebody out on the street if you wanted to. But ultimately, you put them on like a sport or like you just want to be active and like go on a run, a lot of them don't have the cardiovascular health. A lot of them aren't able to like just keep up with you, even though you're half their size. So there's kind of like the whole concept of like, I feel like there's a fine line between just aesthetically looking good and actually being healthy. but that's something I'm pretty passionate about is the health and
Well,
fitness side of things.
I like to
So
tell people they may look like a Ferrari on the outside, but they might have a Volkswagen engine on the inside.
exactly.
And I
Yeah.
scanned all the winners of bodybuilding contests 2 years ago, and all of them scanned very poor, very poor. And you
There
would
you
think
go.
that they would be the best, but that kinda gives you an idea.
There you go. Well, if you could, other question would be like, if you could wave a magic wand and just kind of fix one thing, let's say it's like how people think about their health or how your message is getting out, because a big part I'm assuming about what you guys do is also educating people about these types of things. Like, what would that one thing be that you would just want to fix, whether that's personally or just within society as a whole?
That's a tough one because there's so many things I'd like to get into people's minds, but it's all about function. And we want them to live a healthy, happy life until the day they die. We don't want them to be sick the last 12 years of their life and not have quality of life. So, quality of life is really the key element on what people should think about because they can make all the money in the world. And if they're not well, it's not worth it. So I think that's the main reason that drives me to do this. I want people to have quality of life and be healthy.
Awesome. That's awesome. We'll finish off, I guess, just with like some personal life advice for the younger audience. It would be, you and your wife have obviously done something right. Like you've celebrated 50 years together. And for anybody that's younger that's listening, myself included, that just got married 2 months ago. So I have about 50 years to
Congrats.
go to get to that. What's the thing that actually matters that we won't understand right now until later?
Well, my grandparents said it best. They immigrated here from Russia and Germany on both sides, and they both said, "Don't go to bed mad." That's really important. If you start to argue, stop. We just hold hands and we'd say a little prayer, and it would stop right away. Those are some of the very basic, simple things. She has some things that she loves to do that I don't like to do, and vice versa, but we're together all the time. And when I have my quiet time and I go out and I go shooting, do clay pigeon shooting or whatever it might be, she lets me go. And the same thing with her. She goes out with her girlfriends, and I call it the cackle section, and she enjoys doing that. But we do everything that we can together, and we still do, and we will. And I think that's the most important thing is just to understand that other person. It's 60% give and 40% take. You do that, and you're going to be successful.
Love that. It's a really good advice. If I could, I'm definitely going to apply that myself. I think like once you get married, the biggest thing is it's just like a brand new life. So you're really adjusting to a new reality. And I'm sure that adjustment continues for the rest of your life, probably. But it's a matter of just like really having that give and take mindset and definitely something that I'm going to take away for sure. Dr. K, listen, this was a gift. I think this is very valuable for everyone. Where's the best place that people can find you, also learn about the scanner and connect with you as well online?
I would rather that people would just email me and say what they would like to get out of this, either a med spa or physician at Dr. K at Bioscan Med Technologies, BIOSCAN Med, MED Technologies.com. And I'll send them information. And if they want to call me, put their phone number on that contact when they contact me, and I will give them my phone number, and we'll set up a time and we'll talk.
Love it. Well, everyone, definitely be sure to reach out. We'll definitely drop at least Dr. K's LinkedIn in the description down below. So if you want to reach out, you can definitely connect with him on there as well. But once again, Dr. K, thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it, and wishing you all the best with not just your business and everything like that, but with everything in life as well. And thanks so much for being here.
Well, I appreciate it so much. Thanks for having me.